Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Stop.Sit.Surrogate with Kennedy and Ellen.
Ew.
Today, we're just going to kind of catch up on our stories.
Yeah.
So let's do your second surrogate journey.
Yes, the best one out of
Yes.
all. I think out of all of them.
Out of like all six,
I
out of
think.
like mine and yours.
I think.
Well, maybe you wouldn't be wrong. So,
Probably not. Yeah. Well, you got one more to go. So, um, yeah. So
okay.
did the triplet journey. Well, did the second journey because I was so unfulfilled in the first journey. That's the reason why I went and did number two.
And because you almost died. Okay, got it.
Well, that's not why. I mean, it
I
just
know, but like,
go
just,
according to plan.
I need you to explain something. Because you almost died.
Did.
And so you're like, I want to go back,
Yeah.
do it again.
Yes.
Why?
Well, I was having some real mental issues because of
Because
all
of
of
the
it.
first one?
Yeah, because of all of it. Because
Yeah.
it did not go the way to plan. Yes, I almost died and left my children motherless, all because I wanted to help
Someone.
others who couldn't have children. Okay,
Mhm.
so that need was still there, but yet
Okay.
I'm wrestling with a lack of blood supply. I'm wrestling with I think I was in between jobs because I didn't have to leave my job to be pregnant with the triplets, but I was in between jobs, got one, and just it's a long story, but that job didn't work out and it resulted in yeah, not good. So I was
Okay.
off during the triplets. So then I had to find a job in like this state of mind. And I just was like, no, I need to do something for me. So I talked to my husband and he was like, yeah, I can tell you're not happy. You didn't get what you needed, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Contacted the same agency back. Um, let's see, they were born in August. I probably contacted them in November.
Okay. Wait,
Right.
who? Oh, I understand. The
The same.
triplets were born in August. So the previous November, you contacted this agency and you
No,
had
no.
who was born in
August they were
August?
born. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. June, the first baby was born.
Okay,
Sorry. I
thanks.
was like, we were
Okay.
done with triplets. June, the
Yeah.
first baby was born. I
Okay.
contacted the agency probably around September, October,
Okay.
and got a couple in. It had to have been in August because there's a very big holiday, Jewish holiday in September, and they were told they
Right.
found a match on that day. So we actually matched in September, transferred late January of 2022. They were born August of 2022.
That's a really long time to have been matched to then do a transfer. Oh, is it because you just had a baby?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I'm trying to think. It was September, it was October. You had to have 30 days for this. Oh, a lot of clinics are closed during the holidays back then. So they literally shut down like 2 weeks in December.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So it kind of, by the time we matched, signed, got everything going, that was probably September. That was probably latter part of October.
Oh, but that's normal now because that's 7 months since you had the baby, and so like they won't even let you do a transfer till 6 months, anyways.
Right.
After you
And
have the baby.
I'm not even, I'm pretty sure ours was 6 months. You could do it in 6 months. And so
Yeah.
I was like, well, let's just get it done.
Okay.
So yeah. So
So
I got
I know, but you
profiles.
have.
Yeah. What?
How did you
What?
meet these people?
How did I meet them?
Yeah, like you went back to this agency and you were
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. And I was like, this time I would like multiple profiles so I can see them. So I'm not just handed a couple because we all know how that went down.
sure.
And they said, oh, yes, of course, of course. And I think they gave me three. I looked at them. No, thank you. Gave me
Oh,
three more. Uh-huh.
okay.
Gave me three more. And the second of those three was the couple jumped off the
Oh,
page. Like I looked at the first one, I'm like, yeah, no. Looked at the second one, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And I reread it again. I reread it again. And then I went and
yeah.
got my husband. I'm like, you got to read this. And he's like, oh no, these guys sound great.
Aw.
Um, Come to find out he worked for a company um whose one of their main headquarters stores was literally a mile from my house, which was a small world. Yeah.
That's so
Right.
funny.
So he knew exactly where we were located when we started talking.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I know exactly where that is. You're right up the street. I know cross streets. He knew them all. It was crazy. I was like, oh my God, that's weird. Yeah.
Oh, how crazy.
Yeah, it was. So hit it off right away. Um, I'm trying to think. They had their egg donor before they got me. So they were
Okay.
in that process and she hadn't, that might have been one of the reasons it took a little longer. She hadn't had her retrieval yet.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Because I believe we did, yes, we did a fresh, we had their egg donor. They kind of, went through contracts with her, but we were going to all cycle at the same time. She was going to have her retrieval right before I was going to do the transfer because it was fresh.
Oh, you did a fresh cycle.
Yes. So that's how that went down. When that came around, end of January, we were all in a room prior to going into the room that they do the procedure for the transfer. Yeah. And he came in and he gave us all the quality of the eggs. And he just said, yeah, how many do you want to put in? These are horrible.
Awful.
They graded them. And I think these were like 3s and 4s out of 10. Mm-hmm.
Out of 10.
Out of 10. That was, yeah, they were low. And he said, Phil Chidley, doctor said, I really don't give you a lot of hope of getting pregnant with these. So how do you want to play it? So we all just kind of looked at each other and we said, well, I guess the more the better, gives us a better chance. And somebody threw out the number 3 and he's like, well, you've got 4 that are in that category of the same grade. And that's the highest grade you're going to get. And everybody's like, okay, 4. Like never in today's society, ever. I mean, we were dumb, but yeah, they wanted a baby. So we're like, okay, never thinking multiples ever crossed anybody's mind, because literally after the transfer and he walked out of the room, he was going to walk out of the room and he said, guys, I give you about a 15% chance of getting pregnant. Defeat set in. I was like, oh, you have got to be kidding me. Now I have to go on 3 days of bed rest and I'm probably not even going to be pregnant. This is a waste of time in my head. Never said it to them.
Yeah, that's not positive. A good.
We all went back to the same hotel because they were living back east and they came out for the transfer. They actually were here for her retrieval and they stayed. And then they stayed the 3 days after post-transfer to hang out in the hotel. And we ate together and hung out and watched movies. One of the dads, you know which one I mean, jumped up in the bed and was watching movies with me. And
T did that. Oh, I love him. Yeah. He is the reason. He was the one that I was attached to him.
I know.
So
he's much. He has that aura about him. People just flock.
People just are just drawn to him.
It's still to this day, I think he has that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they all stayed. I even think Mike, my husband, stayed. We had fun. We just, I drank a lot of Coca-Cola back then. I still drink it now, but not as much. And I had very bad withdrawals from the caffeine because I couldn't have any of that for 3 days, right?
You couldn't really?
Yeah, no. I got off of caffeine completely when I was pregnant. All my surrogates.
I was gonna say there's no way you not your whole life. Okay.
All my surrogate babies, right? I got off. But that one I didn't get off till like the last minute, and the withdrawals were horrible. So did the transfer, did the 3 days. That's what bed rest was. They brought in food. We got it from the hotel. They went to Morton's Steakhouse and brought in like these fillets, and it's oh my God, it was so nice. Went home. They flew back east. They flew back to where they were. Everybody just kind of keep their fingers crossed. And I literally started testing. I think transfer, I started testing probably 4 or 5 days after.
But you're missing something.
What am I missing?
You were sitting on a couch.
No, I was sitting in the bed. You're right. I was sitting in the bed. It was nighttime. They were out getting the food. My husband and one of the dads were out getting the steakhouse they ordered in. And so they went to pick it up because it was right down the street. And the other dad was sitting in the bed with me and we were watching a movie or something. And I felt like this, just 3 quick zings in my belly. It was like zing, zing, zing. And they were about 1 second apart. Like they were so close, but they were very definitive and very separate. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd never felt that before. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And I turned to the one dad, and I said, I just think 3 of those embryos implanted. And he went, oh, you're out of your mind. I go, put your hands on my belly for good luck, and we won't speak anything of it anymore. Okay. He's like, yeah. So he did. We just had a little chuckle about it. And he asked me what it was. I explained to him I'd never felt that before. And I don't know if he told the other dad, but I definitely told my husband. And I'm like, now this is interesting. So I tested like a couple days after transfer, and I started to get faint little lines. And I'm like, oh, you're joking. Oh God.
Yeah.
And then when the beta came,
it was high.
A high, very high. And I'm like, oh God. And the fertility doctor himself called me and he said, I don't know how many are in there and how many stuck, but it's definitely 2 by your beta. And I went, okay, all right. Remember, we put 4.
Yeah.
Could have split, could have gotten 6, could have gotten 8, could have got, oh dear God. Yeah.
Oh my
like,
God, no.
So I put a bunch of pregnancy sticks in a baggie, put them in a box, put these big beta numbers, and as they grew each day, the beta numbers, when he kept taking the blood, and sent it back to them overnight, Federal Express, and they opened it. Yeah, because that was going to be like my last beta with them, with the docs. I forget how many they did. I think it was 2. No, it was 3.
Right.
It was 3. It was 3. And I didn't tell him the first one. Like we just let it. I just was like, oh my God, no. And the second one was high. I told him it was high. And the third one was really high. And they got excited. I got excited. I said, okay, let's wait and see. And at the 6-week mark, it was your 5th birthday. They flew out because it was your 5th birthday or 6th.
8th.
You were in kindergarten, Kennedy. You were in kindergarten.
No, I wasn't.
Kindergarten or first grade? First grade.
I was okay. We're not getting into this, but I was in kindergarten / I was in kindergarten with your first one.
Were you in first grade then with this one?
Right, and that would make sense that I turned 8.
8 in first grade? Yeah, no. 2002, Ken. 2002.
Whatever. I'm bad with math. 7, 8, something like that.
You were 7.
Okay.
That makes sense. 95 to 2000.
Totally not worth the story.
Whatever. Anyway, I had taken cupcakes to your school in the morning. Oh, okay. You were going to hand out cupcakes to your friends. We had our ultrasound that day. It was just happened to be. They flew in. We went for the ultrasound. And we were all going to go to Benihana's afterwards and have dinner so they could hang out with you guys and we all could hopefully be excited. So we're in the ultrasound room. Dr. S walks in. He's like, hey, how's it going? You're all going to be my success story if any of these actually took. And by your numbers, I think at least one's in there. And we're like, okay. So we're all laying there. It's very lighthearted mood. And he's very good at his job. So weenie one goes in and he's like, there's 1. There's 2. Oh, look, there's the 3rd heartbeat. And we all went, what? Heartbeats? We got heartbeats at that ultrasound. Oh, okay. And 3. And I'm like, if you say 4, I honestly don't know. I'm going to lose it. And he goes, nope, just 3. And we all looked at the other one, just 3? Oh and he goes, okay, make your follow-up appointment. We'll see you back in a couple weeks. So he walks out the room. All 4 of us, me, Mike, and the guys, it's dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Nobody knew what to say. Nobody knew if we should be elated. Nobody knew if we should, oh my God, talk about reduction. Like nobody knew what to do. And then I finally think the one dad said, well, if anybody can do this, you can. And I said, damn right I can. And so it was just, survival mode and go. And we were like, okay. And come to find out, the owner of that agency happened to be at that fertility clinic having some type of check because they were going to carry a baby or what have you that morning.
Right.
In a room.
Right.
Got out of our room and I knocked and I knew she was there. So I knocked on her door. I walked in and she goes, how many? And I went 3. And her just white like a ghost. They'd only had one other triplet pregnancy and it was a little crazy, the one they had. Yeah. But it worked out. Those 3 babies were fine too. But yeah. So I was only their 2nd with triplets. Yeah. And it was like bam, bam, because she just had them like in December. And now I'm pregnant in what, February? Here we go again. Yeah. It's like a couple months. So we all went out. Benihana, I think we told you guys. Actually, we told you in the dining room because we have a video of it. I saw the video when I went back to the triplets' birthday. He showed the video when you guys all found out it was triplets. Amanda she stormed off and went to her room. Yeah. You were like, yay, you got all excited. And Brett just was like, okay, yeah. But yeah, she's like, I can't believe it. And she just turned around and walked to her room. I'm like, I don't know if she's good, happy about this, sad about this.
That's on point for her. Yeah. So that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. So we just, then the hard conversation had to come. I agreed to reduce. After the initial talk.
Who was that coming from them? Like, whose idea was it at first to be like, oh, reduction should be talked about? Was it fertility docs? Was it agency? Was it the couple?
My recollection was that
Yeah.
the agency talked to the intended parents.
Okay.
Triplet pregnancies with a surrogate were not a thing.
Yeah.
Twins, yeah. You have a
Yeah,
good
that's
outcome.
normal
Babies aren't going
now.
to be in the NICU, typically with twins.
Yeah.
That was the push there. So when I heard about all the talk about, oh gosh, we might be doing that, we were both told each go to your own, each go to one or two for specialists
Right.
and get a report from them and see what they say. Well, you gave me a challenge. I'm going to do it. So I found the best. He's the maternal doctor, maternal field doctor for UCI, head of it.
Right.
And he got me in. I think he was intrigued by the story. And so he got me in and he sat us down, sat me and Mike down. The couple didn't go. And he said, triplet pregnancy is pretty much just like a twin pregnancy. There's just the little things you have to do ahead of time. He said, no, if we were talking quads, it would be a whole different ballgame and you'd be
Isn't
on
that
bed rest.
interesting?
Mhm.
That's so interesting.
He's like, you'd be on bed rest. I'd probably put you on bed rest before about 16, 17 weeks. And I'm like, okay. He's like, but triplets really, if we monitor you and we just look at your body cues and you do what we tell you to do, it's almost just like a twin pregnancy. I said, okay, I'm in. So I took that report with me.
Yeah.
I was so excited because I'm like, oh, they got a report. They said, no, you should reduce, give you better outcome, better outcome. So here we come to the table with two different ideas, two different opinions, very different. So we came to the table with them, and what that meant was the couple and us went to dinner to talk about it and what we were going to do and kind of share information and maybe our what we feared and maybe what we thought we could do. And at dinner, we talked about it, and I got very emotional because it was leaning towards absolutely we're going to reduce. And I kind of signed it away. You know, that's why I got to be very, very careful. I never thought I'd be in that position ever.
Right.
And, you know, hindsight, next contract I did, I absolutely said no, I would not. So it changed my thought on what I would do. Right.
Okay.
Because it was so hard. So had the conversation. Yeah, we're going to reduce. So the agency set up an appointment for me. And reduction, I think back then you had to do it anytime after. I don't want to go in there, but I believe I had that ultrasound at 12 weeks or 11/5, like
Okay.
11 weeks, 5 days. And we were going to go in a day, the next day, and have it done. So he's doing the ultrasound, the specialist who reduces, he's doing the
Right.
ultrasound. We're down in LA. He's pressing and pressing, and it's like the longest ultrasound I've ever had. And I had a ton of ultrasounds with those triplets. This is the longest one and the most uncomfortable one. He pressed so hard, and I kept saying, why is this taking so long? I have to figure out which one I'm going to be able to take. And I'm like, okay. Turns out they usually always take the baby that's labeled A because it's the closest to the exit. That's usually what they do.
Okay.
Right. So that was what was decided in this instance. I got dressed. We went down to the car. And when we got to the car, we were opening the car doors. I just started to bleed. It was like a gushing hemorrhage. And I freaked. I'm like, oh my God, I'm probably losing all three of these. I can't believe it. So we rushed back upstairs because we were in the middle of downtown LA. Yeah. We rushed back upstairs to the doctor's office. I explained what was going on. They put me in a room and they packed gauze and all kinds of to sop up the blood.
Is that even like a sanitary?
Didn't have an ultrasound. Nothing. They just packed me, gave me tons of pads. I know this might be graphic. Just give me tons of pads to put in my underwear. Obviously, my pants are blood soaked. I can't even wear them. And they said, you need to get to your doctor and your hospital that's handling you. Get to your OB. So we have to put our big girl panties on, me, and not cry right now and just go, oh my God, let me get to my doctor. So we call them in the car. He finds out he gets on the phone with me. Such a God. Gets on the phone with me, says, get to UCI. They're going to know you're there and they're going to bring you right in and know what to do. And I said, okay. So we got to UCI, we pulled up right in the emergency. They had a wheelchair waiting. They knew who I was. Boom, gone in immediately. I was in ultrasound within minutes to see what was going on.
Good.
Ultrasound, actually, a doctor was doing the ultrasound. It was one of his doctors. And she said, there's 3 heartbeats. And right there, I get chills right now. Right there, just the weight of the world just off my shoulders. I went,
Yeah.
oh my God, really? There's 3? And she's like, yeah. So they're trying to figure out what happened. Turns out it was a hematoma, which is very, very common behind one of the fetuses. And when he pressed so hard is what they deducted, that it just ruptured. It was going to rupture anyway when the babies got bigger, but he catapulted it and it just ruptured then. So I was in the hospital 2 nights, I believe they kept me. And I went, they finally got me in my room, got me comfortable, cleaned up. I had a good ultrasound. The babies are good. I have to now tell an agency, well, let's back up a little bit. While I'm in the car and we're heading from LA to UCI, which is about no traffic, 45-minute drive, took us an hour and a half because of traffic.
Right.
Yeah. I'm calling the agency. I'm calling the intended parents. I'm letting everybody know because you have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any more information than I'm bleeding. I just had an ultrasound and I'm bleeding, so I don't know. Then once I get into my room, I call everybody back. I call the intended parents first.
Good.
Yep, they were first. And they both put me on speakerphone and I said, they're still all 3. I told them what it was. They think it's a hematoma. And they both almost simultaneously at the same time said, it's a sign, Ellen. Can we just carry all 3? I said, absolutely, 100%. You're getting no pushback from me. Yes, yes, we are. We can do it. And you know which one said, if anybody can do it, Ellen, you can do it. I said, I know I can, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go no. And I told them right then and there, I'm doing no bed rest and they're going to be born at 32 or after. And they went, ooh, okay. I did no bed rest and they were born at 32.
Well, look at you.
I know. Give me a challenge, people, and I'm going to take it.
Yeah. Type A personality.
Yeah. So I kept that doctor, the one who gave me who said, hey, it's just like twins, and he had a little protocol and I had to gain 24 pounds by the 24th week. And I thought, oh, that'll be super easy. It was very, very hard. I didn't want to eat. I was so nauseous, so sick. So I ended up getting like protein shakes and I was like, oh, those taste horrible. So we found out that if I just loaded up with ice cream, like shakes, I had 2 a day.
What a dream.
They were huge. Mike got really good. My husband got really good at making them. He worked in an ice cream shop when he was a kid, but the one I wanted was mint chip. And I was like, oh, it was so delicious. And it big, huge. So he would make one every night before he went to work. And I would have one in the middle of the day. I would go to the local ice cream store, Baskin Robbins, and get one. So I did it.
Oh my God.
I did it. I gained 25 by the time I was 24.
You overachiever, you.
I did it. But thank God I did. Because after that 24th, I barely could eat anything.
Oh, you're
They were
kidding.
getting so big. They were sitting on my stomach. So my stomach was shrunk. I could hardly breathe because my diaphragm. So it was just a feat to get around. And I would eat very small meals, about 6 small meals a day is what I ended up doing.
That's what you're supposed to do anyways. But
yeah, and I had a big, huge jug of water that had 32 ounces in it. I actually had 2 of them. And if I got through one by the afternoon, then I would drink the other one up until 6 o'clock at night and just get extra water. But after 6 o'clock at night, I didn't drink anything because I'd have to be up peeing all night. And I would be up.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, did you pee like 3 times more than you normally would?
Well, because I was drinking so much, because the uterus is a muscle. And if you don't hydrate the muscle, it's going to start contracting. And that's like the biggest takeaway I took from that was hydrate. And I just drank water, lemon water. And I would have to say, did I pee more than a normal pregnancy? Probably a little bit more, but
not drastically.
Not drastically, no.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the uterus was so big, it needed all of that fluid to sustain those babies. So they each had their own placenta. None of them were like identical. So it was 3 of those eggs took and the other one didn't. That's what happened. Yeah. So there's 3 babies, 3 placentas. There's a lot going on in there. So fast forward to like the 32 week. I'm going in weekly now. Weekly. They haven't put me on bed rest. I'm still good. I'm walking around. I'm still driving. I'm still doing everything. I've got 3 kids I'm taking care of. I'm not working. but
Oh, okay.
I'm not working, but I am going, get you kids up, take you to school, do all that. Everybody was in sports. So we go in for a checkup. It's in the morning.
Pause.
Yes.
Did you, because nowadays you'll
Mhm.
get like, I don't want to call it like a bonus. I don't like that word, but
Oh,
like
for each extra
you
baby?
get an extra incentive for each baby. Did you get
Yes.
an extra
That was
incentive?
in my contract already. It was an extra 5,000 for each baby.
What?
So that took me up a 10,000 increase. Yeah. And then for a C-section, it was 500.
For a what?
C-section.
It was $500?
$500 was attached to that, right? Mm-hmm. So we knew absolutely I was getting a C-section.
Oh, how the times have changed.
Right. What is it now?
$3,000 for a C-section.
Okay, well, this
That's,
is 20-ish years ago.
I mean,
So
that's what I've been quoted when I've talked to
yeah,
agencies. It's about 2,500 to $3,000 for a C-section.
very interesting. Yeah, no, 500.
Okay.
Yeah. So I go in for the check. We were going to go to, I don't know who knows of this, but Johnny Rockets for burgers after because the appointment was like 10:30, and I was so hungry. And we're like, we'll just go, it's across the street. We'll just go after we're done the appointment. Go in for the appointment. Of course, I have to get checked, with the fingers and the ultrasounds and all that crap. And this is one of his PAs, and she goes out and she talks to the big doctor and just says, hey, I would like her to get steroids. We're close. Let's just help these babies with their lungs. I can hear them in the hall talking. And he's like, she's done phenomenally. She doesn't need that right now. This gal fought for the steroids for their lungs. She fought like to the point where it was literally, they were talking over each other and getting very loud.
Oh, wow.
Thank God she did.
Oh, good.
Send me over. They're like, okay, Ellen, we're gonna have you go over and just get the steroids for their lungs. You won't be there very long, and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay. From what I knew from steroids for the lungs, you're there, you get a shot, and 24 hours later, you get another shot, just to get them. So I'm
Oh,
like, no, I think I'm gonna probably have to stay overnight for that, or come back the next day.
right.
That's what I was kind of thinking. Like, all right. So we go to the emergency room. Of course, here we go again. Take me up to maternity ward. They check me. I'm 3 centimeters. I don't feel any of this. I felt no contraction, but you got to admit, I had 3 big
You
babies
had
in there
three,
moving
yeah,
around. So
yeah.
I couldn't tell if it was a contraction. So they're like, well, you're 3 centimeters, so we have to keep you. For how long? I say. And they
For
say,
Ellen, you've had 4 babies
I,
at this point.
I am hungry. I am hungry. And they were like, well, till the babies are born. I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. I need to go home and get my life in order and I will come back. Oh no,
Oh my God.
liability. You cannot leave. I just felt defeated. Like this was not how this was supposed to go. I was supposed to have time. I had a bag packed at least, but the rest of it just wasn't taken
Yeah.
care of. The kids, everything. So, like, oh my God. So of course, called my mom. She helped. She came with you kids.
Amazing woman.
So overnight so I get the dose of steroids. I'm still dilating. I'm 4. Middle of the night. I'm 4 as
When do you call the couple?
um they gave me the medication and I honestly cannot remember the name of it. Mag sulfate, I think it was. Um, and they gave me the medication to stop contractions because I
Okay.
dilated to 4. And so I'm like, if I get to 6, you guys, we're not stopping. Like you're not gonna have any success. And they're like, oh no, we know. So I was hyped up on that stuff. They have baby monitors on my belly. I was in a bed. I was very uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh, the amount of baby monitors you probably had.
And every time one of those babies moved,
Oh,
let's strap them on again. Like even if I wanted to get a little bit of sleep, this wasn't happening.
oh
So I just remember
no.
it being like midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and they're in constantly moving the monitors. And I'm just like staying still, going, come on, stay in here, stay in here. And I had resorted to it. Okay, I'm going to be in here for a couple weeks until they're born. Let's get them to 34. I think that's what my doctor had told me. Let's get them to 34. We'll take them at C-section and we're good to go. So that was for me, that was like 2 weeks. Okay, we can do this for 2 weeks. So it was like 5:30, 6 a.m. Doctor on call. Doctor comes in. It's one of his colleagues. It's a woman. She comes in and she checks and now I'm 6. Nothing's stopping it.
Oh
They're coming.
no.
She's like, you need to call people. We're taking you to an emergency C-section and it's going to be like 30 minutes and you're in. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I called a couple immediately. They were going to fly out they knew I was in the hospital and we had talked
Okay.
when I
I was
got there.
concerned.
They
Okay.
knew I was in the hospital, and I'm like, well, you know what? I'm only 3. If we start the medic, I think we're going to be fine. And you guys, because it was late back there, right? 3 hours difference.
Oh yeah, 3 hours.
So
Yeah.
they're like, okay, we'll look at flights. And they were going to hop on a midnight flight. And they're like, no, we'll hop on the first one in the morning. So
Okay.
they booked it anyway. They were coming anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I call them in the morning, I'm like, I'm going in for a C-section in like 30 minutes to an hour. And they're like, oh my God. And we all just like kind of over the phone just wished each other good luck. And I said, just be safe, just get out here and meet your babies, you know?
Yeah.
So they hop on a plane. It's all jovial for them. People, they're telling everybody they're going to meet their triplets, blah, blah. So it's really happy time for them. On my end, I'm like scared out of my wits because I've
Yeah.
never had a C-section before. And here they're going to take 3 babies out of me. And I'm like, this is interesting. So your dad is home with you guys. I call him
Oh yeah.
and I tell him, I'm going 30 minutes. Like, can you get down here? He
Yeah.
calls my mom. She comes to stay with you guys.
Okay.
Luckily, she lived like a mile away. He
Right.
races to the hospital. He like literally gets there as they're starting to wheel me in. And
Oh
they're
no.
like, yes, you can come in. Jeff, the brother of one of the IPs, they
Yeah.
called him. He raced up from
Because he lived like 45 minutes away.
yes. I
Yeah.
can't remember the town. I want to say Long Beach,
It
but
was Long Beach.
was it? Okay, good. So he's racing. He gets pulled over by a policeman because he's going like 80, 90 miles an hour. He
Oh my
tells him the
God.
story, and the policeman says, he goes, I'm going to the hospital to document my brother's surrogate having triplets. And the guy's like, oh, nobody will make that up. What? Huh?
Right.
Okay.
What a weird
So
story.
he got like an escort off the freeway. So Jeff went to the hospital. He got there. You guys were at school, and grandma's like, oh, heck no, I'm going down to see my daughter. So she comes twaddling on down there. And I don't know any of this is happening. I'm
Yeah.
being prepped for surgery, getting IVs,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. So Mike was doing a movie at that time where he had to have a mustache and kind of longer hair. So he
Yes.
looked really scruffy.
Yeah.
So he's in his scrubs. He's ready to go in. They wheel me in. The couple's in the airplane. We don't even can't even have communication with them. Here we go. We're in. There is a group of doctor and nurse
Oh,
and an attendant, like 3 people for each baby. So there's 9 people in the room there.
just that.
Then
Yeah.
my physician, who's going to do the C-section, which was a woman. I had a male doctor, but he's out of town. And then her surgical staff, right? So,
Oh my God.
and they have 3 beds for the babies, isolates set up in the next room. Take them over to get them all taken care of. So they get me my epidural. It was like a spinal block. I never had one of those before. It was interesting.
Was it like an epidural?
It was, but I could feel the wire threading down.
All right. Oh, okay.
Sorry. So that was interesting. So I lay down. She goes, okay, here we go. And I'm like, all right. So she cuts. Dad's up here holding onto my hand, and I have a drape. And I'm like, you have to let me see each one. You have to when they come out. She's like, no problem. So she takes one out. They have it cry. Hear the cry. She lifts it over the drapes. She goes, baby A, and she whisks away. To that team goes. Did it with the baby B and baby C. Each one cried. Each one she showed me over the partition or what the draping. They're out. They've cried. I've seen them. I lose it. They're all in another room. I lose it. I just like we did it. I can't believe it. They all made it. They're all crying. She tells me they look really good. I'm like, okay, they looked. I said they look small. She goes, you're not quite 32. Yeah, they're gonna be small. I'm like, all right. They stitch me. Oh my God, it took forever to stitch me back up. Forever. So I'm there probably in that like the surgical room for probably a good hour to make sure my vitals are good, everything's cool. Meanwhile, Jeff comes and I see him outside the surgery door, right? Yeah. So he races. I see him. He like waved really quick and then raced over to where the babies were. We think we made contact or something. Either he made contact with me or Mike. And he raced over and grandma's there. And she's like, well, I'm going too. So she followed him in where the babies were. So each one's in their isolate. They're getting cleaned up. I have no idea what weights are, nothing. They get me into my room. So now it's about 10:30 in the morning. So I've had my surgery. I'm in the room. I'm just tired. Was Mike with me? Yeah, I think he was with me. Actually, no, I think he went to check on the babies. The couple gets there. I don't even know they're there.
Oh,
They come straight to my room or just want to know how I'm doing. I'm like, oh my God, you can come see me later. Please go meet your babies. How big are they? I like
yeah.
what? And they're like, okay, kiss me really quick. And they left. I'm like, okay, bye, good. So
Well,
they
she
went
loved
down.
them.
In the meantime, I was told what the weights of the babies were. I
Okay.
was told that the little girl was 3 pounds, 2 ounces. I was very, very upset about that. And that the boys were about 4 pounds. And I'm like, roughly. And I'm like, okay. The dads come back because apparently it got to them that I was very upset about the 3-2. 32. I'm like, I did better than that. I know I did. Turns out they were wrong.
Oh.
She was 312.
Oh, okay. Big
Yeah,
difference.
big difference. Thank you so much. She was almost 4 pounds, but she was doing the best of all three.
Well, she's the little girl. Little girls tend to do better.
And she was in the middle of her brothers, squished. So she
Okay.
had to develop a little bit more quicker than them.
Yeah.
It turns out they all just needed CPAP, which is the nose prongs in your nose. And they all just needed an IV to keep fluids going. So one of the poor little guys had to get it in his head because that's the biggest vein. And that part really bothered all of us, but it didn't seem to bother the baby. And then the other two were able to get them in their hands. I think one got it in his leg.
He
I
had
think
it in his
in his
head.
head. Yeah, it was, but that was a big vein. They could get into it, kept them alive. They were all doing great. They were all in their isolates. And by the time the dads got there, they were all cleaned up. They had their names there. They had everything. And it was really cute. And I just saw that video of them meeting their babies for the
No
very first
way.
time
So
when I went
cool. They
back.
should make a freaking movie because they have so many videos.
Yeah, he had a video of like everything. And I
I
was like,
know.
what? Yeah, I mean,
Like, he has videos of you guys like talking from your journey. Like,
uh-huh. It's amazing. Yeah. And that was
how cool.
really cool to see the them meeting their babies for the first time. That was
Yeah.
very cool to see. And me to be able to see them each in their isolate, like literally what, 2 hours after they were born? They're
Yeah.
all, yeah. And they got great reports on them. They're all doing well. They kept telling them. The nurses were so excited for them. Um, yeah, yeah, it was great. And I made it down to see them. I believe it was the next day. I wanted to get out of that bed, but that epidural block kind of really
Oh.
numbed me. So they said, once you can feel your legs, we'll get you down. And they wheeled me down, which was nice. I didn't get to hold anybody, just got to see everybody.
Did anybody get to hold anybody? Like, did the parents?
Um, I think they got to touch through the little
The
hands.
thing. Yeah.
And within, gosh, I can't remember if it's before I left. I think it's before I left the hospital. I was there
I
for
know it's before you left the hospital because I remember coming and seeing
yeah,
and like
they
I
were in the
remember
step down. They went to the
yeah,
step down really fast. And
yeah,
then they were there for like 4.5, close to 5 weeks, to learn how to suck and just to gain weight.
yes.
But and then they were bedding together pretty quickly. It was really nice. And then the dads were able to stay at the Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah.
Props for Ronald McDonald House. And then which is right next to the hospital, and they were able to come over and feed them and bathe them and learn how to take care of them. And so when they took them home, it wouldn't be so, oh my gosh, what do we do?
Right.
Yeah. So, and I got to keep my wristband on, and they made sure that I had full access to them. I had full phone access. I could call in and ask how they were doing at any time. I could come down at any time and see them, which I don't know who does that. Like, and I say that a lot about this couple, but that right there meant the world. Like, I know I had these babies for you, but I am still not emotionally attached to them, but I'm attached to them to make sure that I did a good enough job. They got a good enough
Mhm.
start. And I just want to see them progress to be able to go home with you. And if that was
Yeah.
24 hours from like a natural birth, great. But this happened to be closer to 5 weeks. So I don't think I could ever thank them enough for allowing me to, and every time I called in, they knew who I was. They gave me updates on all three babies. And anytime I wanted to go down, you guys were so busy with all your sports
Yeah.
that we got you guys down there a couple times. But, and then we went, they called us when they were ready to go home. We knew that was getting close. And they had a private jet to take them back home.
Don't we know it?
Cute. But they asked us to come down that day to say goodbye, and we did. And they asked us to go, and we got to drive on the tarmac to where the plane was. And they didn't know how to hook up the car seats, so we helped with that. And they flew home. And they literally called me when they walked in the door to say we're here. Yeah. I couldn't have asked for a better journey. And I think within what I went home maybe 5 days, and I was home for maybe one or two, and I had to go back in because of all the blood.
Because you were dying again.
I was retaining, yeah, I just retained all these blood clots. And what they found out that it was there were 3 placentas. And as much as they tried to cauterize it and have each one stop the bleeding, there were 3. That's a lot of blood vessels. So it didn't work on all of them. When they got the placentas out, of course, but the closures, it didn't heal as well as and clot as well as they wanted. So I was bleeding internally. And then I started to lose these but they were baseballs, bigger than softballs size clots.
God.
Yeah, I remember losing 3 of them at the same time. And it was in the middle of the night. And I was so excited to go to bed that night because nobody had to get up the next day. It was summer. Nobody had to go to water polo at 5 a.m. who didn't have a driver's license yet. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I can finally sleep. Nope. At 5 or 6 a.m., here comes 911, the emergencies.
Yeah, I just remember waking up because we had fallen asleep on the couch. So I just remember waking up and all of a sudden grandma's there and she just shut the door. And I was like, what's going on? She's like, don't worry, sweetheart. Your mom's just going to go to the doctor real quick. Not a big deal.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. God, I don't know what we would have done without her. She was very instrumental in helping with all of it. Yeah. So I went in and that one I asked to be taken back to the same hospital because we had a hospital closer. And I'm like, no, I'd like to be. So they took me down there. Went back in, took my hematocrit very, very low, very, very low. And they were like, well, and if y'all recall from my first journey, I got my hematocrit up all by myself.
Yeah.
Just by eating green vegetables, taking iron, doing all kinds of. This one was a little bit more severe because I lost way more blood on this one.
You have issues with placentas.
Well, yeah, I guess. And then, so we decided let's do the blood transfusion, which we did.
Scary.
Yeah. Got a couple pints. I think I got 3. Yeah. Yeah. And then they check your hematocrit and that was coming up. And when I went home, I was still really tired, still really tired, trying to recover from a C-section with 3 babies, right? Worrying about them, trying to go down and make it I'm concerned about your babies. I want to be there for them.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
Emotionally too.
One more time.
Emotionally, mentally.
Everything. Yeah, everything. And having my own 3 to worry about. You guys were going to start school in a couple of weeks. It was a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But thankfully it all worked out.
Yeah.
They've been phenomenal ever since. I think I already shared that they surprised the triplets by flying me back for their 20th birthday. It was so much fun.
So much fun. Which we still need the video of.
Do you want to put it on here?
That'd be fun.
Oh, I'll have to ask if we can. Okay.
I mean, we don't have to. I just personally
want to see it? Oh, okay.
I think that'd be fun to put it on here.
I'll reach out to him. Yeah. So but by far, even with the little, with the, the downs on that one,
Yeah.
By far my best journey.
By far my best journey.
It just had all to do with the relationship that the couple and I had. And I think once I finished that journey, I was like, that's what I needed. That's what I was looking for. I wasn't looking for a best friend. I just wanted the mutual respect. I mean, from you and I talking on all these podcasts, that's what I craved was the mutual respect. I'm helping you. You're helping me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's something that should be respected. And it totally was, where it wasn't in my other 2, which is what it is. I mean, I learned a lot from all 3. A lot. Well, I had 4, but the one didn't take. So I still learned a lot from that one.
Yeah.
Learned a lot. But yeah, it's okay. And the 3rd time I did it, I was like, I
know. We'll get into that next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah. So I'm very, very, very fortunate that I had them in my life that our paths crossed, really. Because had I waited a couple more months, another surrogate would have gotten them,
Yeah. No, everything happens for a reason. And I will say this for an eternity, that journey is the most perfect picture for surrogacy because it's what I think it's what 98% of people want.
I might have
Like
to agree with you. Yeah.
with the connection and the bond and
Mhm.
like just like basically taking each other and putting each other into each other's families and
Yeah.
just like having the mutual respect, just like everything.
Mhm.
It's very unique to like still
It-
know them at 20 years old
right?
and
Right?
to probably be invited to their wedding
Oh my gosh, I would love
one
that.
day
Wow, I would love
and
that.
maybe see their children. Like, how weird is
Wow.
that?
That would be kind of cool. That would be very cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
agreed. Yeah, those little kids, they would call when they were old enough, they would call me on my birthday.
I know.
My birthday.
And
I'm
they
like,
would call you their California mom.
California mom. Yep. Yep. They came up with it and their dads were like, sure, no problem.
I know.
Okay.
And then that transferred over. We told
I
my first journey people that, and now
know.
that little girl calls. Well, I don't know if she still does,
Yeah,
but
right.
you know,
But you know, but it's I don't know, you there's so much behind the scenes on that journey that were so beautiful and wonderful that you can't even share. Like because you can't
put it into
voice them.
words.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah,
words. Yeah. Just little things they did and yeah, just yeah, really kind of cool.
yeah.
Things that they would say and yeah. So really kind of cool how that whole thing went down. And they treated all of you guys, the three kids and Mike.
They're the reason that I was like, well, them and you. I was like,
Yeah.
seriously, let's
Yeah.
do it. Like I'm still looking for my
Wow.
version of them. So,
Wow.
but I've told them that too. I was
I
like,
know.
they're
Yeah. Yeah.
just who they are as people.
Yep. So that was journey 2 for me. Yep.
Exciting. And then you go on to do a third one.
A third one with some time in between. There was a little
Yeah.
bit of time in between.
Good
Yeah.
God. Couple years.
Couple years was nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, very cool.
And went with a different agency. Yeah.
Well,
Right.
We've all been there.
Ay, ay, ay.
Been there.
We won't even go into that,
Yeah.
what happened when they were born. And yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I had my support.
I did apply to that agency.
I know you did.
And then I had a little interview and I was like, no.
And it didn't go well. I didn't want to say it didn't go well. They X-made you because of something in your medical history, right?
Kind of and kind of not. They did, but then they had to call my old agency, and I was like, "Oh, that's not going to work out." I signed an NDA, so that's not going to happen. So then they found out who my psych person was, therefore found out who that agency was, and I was like, "Well, this is all you doing some digging. I haven't said anything." Yeah, they like dove real deep into it, and then I talked to the head person at like the head
Wow, I didn't
person.
know. Did I know any of this? Maybe I
Yes.
did. Okay.
Yeah. I talked to the like the top of the top at this
Yeah.
agency and she like called me and she was talking to me and then I had this little interview and I just was not for what they were putting out. So I was like, thanks for all of that
Yeah.
work, but no.
Yeah, I don't know who they are now, like what they're about, because I don't keep up with them. But
Yeah.
back then they were the agency I wanted because they had the clientele I wanted. And it was hard to find the clientele I wanted.
They still very much cater to that clientele. It's also now though a lot of
High end.
high end, like LA high end.
Yes.
Um
But
but the
top
benefits
1%. Yeah.
but the benefits that the surrogates get really aren't what they seem.
Okay.
It's kind of sneaky and I was like no.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so
Okay.
interesting, but so happy for you and your journey.
Me too. Yes.
Yes. Okay, well, cool. Do you have any advice for people though that like are carrying multiples?
Drink, drink, drink. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Seriously, because that uterus is a muscle.
Okay.
And it's interesting because just a little caveat. One of the IP sisters got pregnant naturally with twins.
Oh, how funny.
Identical.
Oh, how funny.
And he had her call me and say, how did you do it? Give her some tips. Yeah. And that's my biggest tip with anybody with multiples is, well, number one's hydrate. Number two, listen to your body. Like,
yeah.
This is only for, if you're lucky, 8-9 months, but listen to your body, sit down when you got to sit down, take it easy. and eat. Gain a lot of weight before the 24th week. A lot of weight.
Yeah.
However much you can. Yep.
Okay then.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yep.
this was so fun. What a
It was.
happy note. What a happy note.
Yay.
Yay,
Yay.
Ellen. Yay, Ellen and her triplets.
Uh,
They're fun. Yeah, you should see if we can get that video though, because I want
I
that
will.
video.
I will ask.
Okay,
I will
cool.
definitely ask.
Great things. Okay. All right. Well, if you guys have any questions or would like to share your story, please feel free to reach out to me at Stop.Sit.Surrogate on Instagram. Yeah.
It's been Stop Sit Surrogate with Kennedy and Ellen. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.